Welcome back to Freight Waves Now. This carrier update, Donny. We missed Monday, but we're going to look at it Thursday. What's going on in the reefer market? Obviously, seeing some reaction from a capacity perspective, seeing rejection rates decline. But
look at it next year. But keep in mind, reefer has about a 4.5, and as we get towards holidays, pushing up to a 5-day tender lead time. So when we see that much of a tender lead time, rates are going to push up a little sooner than you're going to see on drive-in. So if you get to the week of the 4th of July and you're going to push your reefer rates up, you might have already missed it unless it's same day pickup right then. So when we look at rejection rates here, we're looking back, and we see it peak out here a lot sooner and then start to drop back down as we go into July. Now, right now, we're still seeing a downward trend. We're down to 4.58% from, we got up almost to 5.5%. So we're down about 1 percentage point almost, and we're on a downward trend. And you're probably going to see this trend continue. The 4th of July is kind of like the peak of the summer reefer season. Now, over the next few weeks, we're still going to see a lot of produce moving, but it's the downside. So when we look at volumes, it's going to look a little bit different because we may see a lot of people transitioning back from the spot market into the contract market and picking up a little bit more freight under contract instead of spot because prices are going to be changing. So now, right now, we're in our holiday season. So we're in our holiday 7-day rolling average. But if you took this number right here and put it right here, I would say volumes have pushed up just a little bit right now. And you're going to see this probably over the next few days before it starts dropping. Let's go to the next chart here.
Well, before we do that real quick, I'm just going to call out that we saw almost the exact same thing around Memorial Day, right? Steep drop, 0 day. Pretty quick bounce back. It doesn't look like it's near as large as what that bounce back was. And then we can see how quickly it came back down after Memorial
And this is what we'll see when we get to our history of seasonality charts. But yes, real quick here, we see rejection rates dropping and we see tender lead times falling, meaning shippers are not under a lot of pressure. So they're going to be able right now to be pushing these rates back down. We see that volume spiking right now. Reefer carriers really need to try to push back and keep those prices up at least through Friday, which is now tomorrow. I'd try to, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, keep the rate pressure up and fight them right now until we actually start to see it fall. But when you start seeing these dropping down, they're not under a lot of pressure. So here we're going to drop back down, here below 4.5 days to the norm because that's where we should be.
Yeah, I mean, there isn't a lot of right now, especially on the reefer side, right? There's not as much time sensitivity, right? Because you mentioned we're kind of past the peak for reefer if you think of 4th of July as that peak season. So the time sensitive nature kind of gone. I think this chart will kind of show exactly what we're talking about, right?
So we're starting back here. Right now, it's hard to see because we got 2 blue lines, but we're right here. I'm going to compare it. I've got this line highlighted here, the purple line. You see that through July, it's pretty steady. But then if you kind of step back and look between August 15th and, here right to around October, November, just slight increases in volumes. Now these aren't, like I said, they're slight increases, so it's not anything that's going to go overboard and just tighten up the entire market. But it is healthy that we should be seeing these volumes pick up here just gradually a little bit all the way through November.
You even saw it in 2022 when the entire market was softening. Look at where volume levels were it wasn't a huge upward movement, but it was still upward, right? It wasn't down. And I mean, we can go back to even the 2 COVID affected years. You saw the same trends. We're just not going to be anywhere near these levels. But I mean, what you would look for, right, is to see some upward flow in volume or upward movement in volume, right, increases over the next 6 months. Does that actually happen? Is a completely different question.
Yeah, well, hopefully, we'll keep, and actually, I believe we're going to be back to this kind of the 2019 trends. Obviously, these three years up here were extraordinary events that really pushed the markets to where, this is be hard to compare to. There's no reason to compare to this. We should never be really doing this again. But here, the Purple Line 2019 is probably the best one to compare it to.
Absolutely. Well, Donny, thank you so much for this update. Right now, we'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more Freight Waves Now.